This is Spectrum Television News at noon. I am Uyai Imam, coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Let's take a look at some of the headlines. FAAC shares 1.9 trillion naira to federal government, state and local governments. Senator Natasha files counter-affidavit at Supreme Court, challenges Senate President Akpabio's appeal. In other news, Trump calls on Republicans to nationalize future elections. We'll bring you the details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. We begin the news at noon from the national scene, where the federal government has flagged off a free nationwide training program targeting 10 million Nigerians at financial inclusion and financial literacy following the signing of a memorandum of understanding with 6 professional bodies. The program, being implemented by the Office of the Vice President through the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion, PRECEFIN, is designed to empower Nigerians, particularly youths and women, with essential financial skills, investment knowledge, and digital competencies for sustainable wealth creation. Under the MOU, the federal government will collaborate with the Institute of Chartered Bankers, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, the National Institute of Credit Administration, the Chartered Risk Management Institute, and the Nigeria Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship to jointly design training programs, certification pathways, digital skills initiatives, and mentorship platforms. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony at the Presidential Villa Abuja on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, the Vice President described the agreement as more than a formal document. He further noted that Nigeria will only reap from its demographic dividend if young people and women were deliberately equipped with relevant skills and strong ethical grounding to thrive in a rapidly evolving digital economy. In the meantime, the federal government has set up a new technical subcommittee under the National Economic Council to drive the development of Nigeria's livestock sector. This aims to boost economic growth, improve food security, and strengthen unity across the country. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, announced this during the first meeting of the subcommittee at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. The minister said the team was created to harmonize existing policies and ideas and turn them into a clear and practical plan that the National Economic Council can approve and begin to carry out without delay. According to the minister, the committee comprises governors from the 6 geopolitical zones, key ministers, and the co-chair of the Presidential Committee on Livestock Development. Meanwhile, the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation has announced the commencement of the accreditation exercise for the selection of 5 new federal permanent secretaries. According to a statement released by the Director of Press at the OHCSF, N1.9TRN, the exercise followed the approval of President Bola Tinubu. Olotu noted that the process is designed to fill existing and impending vacancies for candidates originating from Adamawa, Bayelsa, Enugu, Kano, and Ogun. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Wilson Jack, described the accreditation as the foundational step in a critical national assignment that will determine the future quality, integrity, and capacity of the Federal Civil Service leadership. Wilson Jack charged the Accreditation Committee to execute its duties with utmost diligence, thoroughness, and strict adherence to established rules and procedures. She emphasized that the principles of fairness, transparency, and merit must be paramount throughout the exercise. Away from that, the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee has shared a total of 1.969 trillion naira among the federal government, state, and local government councils from the Federation revenue that accrued in December 2025. This was disclosed in a communique issued by Faac at the end of its monthly meeting yesterday. According to the communique, the total distributable revenue comprised 1.084 trillion naira in statutory revenue, 846.51 billion naira from value-added tax (VAT), and 38.11 billion naira from the electronic money transfer levy. Faac noted that a total gross revenue of 2.585 trillion naira was available in December 2025. From the amount, 104.69 billion naira was deducted as cost of collection, while 511.58 billion naira was set aside for transfers, refunds, and savings. The communique further stated that gross statutory revenue for December 2025 stood at 1.63 trillion naira, representing a decline of 105.21 billion naira compared to the 1.74 trillion naira recorded in November 2025. From the judiciary, Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpotudwahan has filed a counter-affidavit before the Supreme Court of Nigeria in opposition to an appeal instituted by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio arising from proceedings of the Court of Appeal. Court documents in Abuja indicate that the counter-affidavit was deposed to by a senior legislative aide to Senator Akpotudwahan and filed in response to Senator Akpabio's motion on notice dated January 21, 2026. The respondents are urging the Apex Court to dismiss the application in its entirety, arguing that it discloses no prima facie good cause and constitutes an abuse of court process. According to the counter-affidavit, the Court of Appeal had already concluded hearing in the substantive appeal on November 28, 2025 and reserved the matter for judgment. Elsewhere, Justice Emmanuel Sibilim of the National Industrial Court Abuja has restrained the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), the Trade Union Congress (TUC), and 3 others from embarking on any form of industrial action or protest in the Federal Capital Territory. Justice Sibilim issued the order following an ex parte application filed by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and the FCT administration against the labor unions and their leaders, dated February 2nd. After hearing the claimants, Justice Sibilim granted an interim order restraining the 1st to 5th respondents and their agents or privies from embarking on any strike pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The court also directed the 5th to 9th defendants, who are security agencies, to ensure law and order is maintained in the FCT. Meanwhile, the court has adjourned the matter until February 10 for the hearing of the motion on notice. In a related development, organized labor and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, have reached an agreement that has brought an end to their dispute, paving the way for the immediate resumption of work by affected employees. The development was communicated through a circular issued today to all affiliates of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) in Abuja. The circular, jointly signed by the Secretary General of the TUC, Nuhu Toro, and the Acting General Secretary of the NLC, Benson Okpa, noted that the minister gave assurances of mutual respect and committed to sustain engagement on labor-related matters within the FCT. According to the circular, the resolution was achieved after a conciliatory meeting between labor leaders and the FCT minister. In education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has announced that persons with disabilities will receive free application documents for the 2026-2027 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The announcement contained in JAMB's weekly bulletin notes that the free application documents will be processed through the JAMB Equal Opportunity Group for eligible candidates with disabilities who intend to sit the examination. JAMB Registrar Professor Aisha Oloyede disclosed this during a meeting with critical stakeholders at the board's national headquarters in Abuja, restating the board's commitment to the welfare of persons with disabilities through its free application documents initiative. According to Oloyede, beneficiaries of the scheme include, but are not limited to, persons living with Down syndrome, autism, dyslexia, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. He added that the underscores the board's resolve to remove barriers to access and ensure that candidates with disabilities are given equal opportunities to pursue their academic aspirations. Now to Africa, where Mozambique is grappling with its worst flooding in decades, just months after recovering from a devastating drought. Nearly 700,000 people have been reportedly affected, with over 100,000 forced into temporary shelters, as homes, farmland and roads were submerged. The United Nations have warned that severe overcrowding is creating dangerous conditions, particularly for women, girls, the elderly and those with disabilities. UN agencies stressed that the risks are far from over, saying that with continued rainfall forecast, more displacement is expected and urgent international support is critical. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme says it is scaling up to reach 450,000 people with life-saving food and nutrition assistance, but urgently needs $32 million to do so. On the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has called on Republicans to nationalize the voting as his administration pushes to overhaul election ground rules ahead of the pivotal midterm races later this year. Trump made the call to the former Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, in a podcast appearance. The president's comments come less than a week after the FBI searched and